Thanks for coming back to the channel and welcome. I want to start this vlog off with a shout out and a thank you to my daughter Ashley and her friend Ron. We started this about a month and a half ago with the bees, and the two of them made me a hat, a veil, which I thought was kind of neat. I have my beekeeping hat, the veil, and my own bees to go with it. And I just thought that was really nice, and I wanted to thank them for the thoughtfulness. Today's video is going to be about starting as a backyard beekeeper. Some of the things that I went through in my process of deciding to do this. First thing that got me interested, honestly, was I was overseas and I was watching YouTube, and I saw this video about this hive called a flow hive from a gentleman in Australia. I thought it was really interesting the way they were going about beekeeping, and it just sparked my interest. That was 2010. So here it is, 2020, and I'm just starting. So it took me a long time to really decide this is something I want to do. Plus I had to have the availability. It was going to be more of a retirement, keep myself busy project, and it's kind of turned into something more. So how did I decide to do this? More YouTube videos, learn more about backyard beekeeping, learn more about bees, how they act, how the hive and colony mentality is, the different types of bees. There are different types of honeybees, which type of honeybee I wanted to raise. And then I had to reach out to and decide to find a mentor. All right, I started with an online mentor. I've been following him now for close to 2 years now. His name is Frederick Dunn, and he's up in Pennsylvania. And what I like most about him is he goes at things in a scientific methodology. If there's a question, he'll research to find out what's the best way to do it. Do certain products work? Do they not work? Stuff like that. So, and he's been very receptive. I've sent him several questions, concerns, and he's responded back to me very quickly. And Fred Dunn has been very helpful in that aspect of it. But another thing you need to do is you need to have a mentor or reach out to somebody in your area that can help you, because each area is different. Up north, their honey season's much shorter than down here, so you need to have someone local. Each state has a beekeepers association, and that's what I did. I reached out to the Kansas Beekeepers Association, met some people, and now I have someone locally who I can reach out to and look for help. One of my mentors or friends, if you will, that will help me when I have questions is actually the person I get my bees from, and that's from Bee Rescue. Mike is very helpful, knowledgeable. He's always there to answer questions when I have them. I feel like I'm a pest sometimes because I have a lot of questions. So after I developed that, I finally went out and bought my hives. Now I've had my hives here at the house for about 2 years, but we just put them in place this year. And what I decided to go with was this flow hive from Australia. Now in the comment section, I'll put a link to their website and their YouTube site, so you can actually see how they work, because right now I'm just filling them up. The bees I have one super on one hive, and the next hive should have a super on in the next 2 weeks, I hope. So so I've decided on my hive, on my bees, and with Mike's help, we installed them about 6 weeks ago. One thing I learned right off the bat dealing with bees, you have to be prepared. You have to go out there with all your tools, all your equipment, everything you need. The last thing you want to do is have the hive open and go, oh, I forgot my hive tool, or oh, I need my my bee brush. So I went to the local hardware store and I found something that really works well, and I have it here. It's a typical 5-gallon bucket, and if you go to the toolbox section, you can get these tool bags that slide into these 5-gallon buckets. This thing is awesome. I have my lighter for my smoker. My hive tool can sit right there. These are the keys for the hive, for the flow hive when you harvest honey. When it's cool, I can have my my smoker in here. I've got my bee brushes and a bunch of other stuff in here, and it's all handy. So when I go out to the hives, I bring my whole bucket. So that was part of the equipment that you need. You know, obviously you need your bee suit, your gloves, and all of that. But once you set out to raise the bees, what are you going to do with the honey? Are you going to give it away? Are you going to sell it? If you're going to sell it, how are you going to package it? So that was a whole nother problem. We spent hours online looking at different jars, labels, labeling requirements. Each state has a different labeling requirement. You can, it depends if you sell at a farmer's market versus in a store. If you sell in a store, you have to have detailed labeling. So there's all these different rules and regulations. So once we got that figured out, we basically came out with, 3 different size jars that we're going to deliver our honey in, and then we'll have different labels, and that will be part of our presentation at the farmers market or wherever we're going to start delivering our product. So with that decided upon, the next thing I thought about was harvesting the honey. I went back to YouTube, back to the Flow Hive people, and saw how they were doing things. And Fred Dunn brought up something about the Flow Hive. And when you go to the video, you'll see how you collect your honey. It's not the traditional way where you take the boards out, cut the wax caps off, and spin it. It's pretty much a faucet. You turn the key, honey comes out. But if the wind is blowing the other way and the bees are out, sometimes they'll get into the collection jar. So here's a half-gallon collection jar, and there's 7 chambers. So you'll have to, and each chamber holds about a half-gallon of honey. So you'll need 7 of these. Well, the thing is, your cover will be open, and the bees can get in there, and then you have a mess. So with some guidance from Fred Dunn and one of his videos, I got some caps. These are the tubes that go into the flow tube. They give us plenty of them, and I'm going to get an elbow so it goes right into the hive, and this way no exposed honey, doesn't attract the bees, easy to collect, and really makes it fairly simple. So I also got from a craft store a wooden crate, and just $10, something to put all of your 7 jars into, and you can carry it so you're not running back and forth with jars, and making it easy to carry. So these are all the little things you think about as far as beekeeping. Then there's feeding. It's very important to understand that when you first start with your bees, you need to feed them a sugar syrup solution until the honey flow starts and they can feed themselves. So how are you going to feed them? You're going to feed them with a top feeder, a front feeder, an inside feeder that fits in like a board. There's all these different ways, and with the Flow Hive, we've decided on a top feeder. With the top feeder, there were several issues. There's ants. There's all these things you need to think about. I think what I'm trying to get across is, if you decide to become a backyard beekeeper, whether you do it with a Flow Hive, a Langstroth hive, top bar hive, it doesn't matter. You need to, before you start, you need to make sure you have a good understanding of what's involved, a good understanding of the health of your bees, understanding like varroa mites, hive beetles, different viruses they have, different pests you have to worry about. Here because they're in my backyard and I have a fence, I don't have to worry about skunks or anything like that. But hey, I may have to worry about some other pest that will, like a squirrel or something. I don't know. But these are some of the things you need to think about and then be prepared for. Out at the hive, I put a motion detector camera. So that way I can, from my phone inside, I can turn on, I can see what they're doing. Or if there's a pest at night, they'll send me an alarm that something's out there. Because the motion detector will set an alarm and tell me something's wrong with a hive. And I used it more of an observation tool than a warning tool. But so there's all these different things that I had to think about to make it easier for me. I knew that I did not have the space or the time to collect honey the traditional way. Cutting the wax caps off, spinning it out, filtering it, a lot of time, whereas the flow hive, it was a lot less labor intensive and a lot, in my opinion, a lot easier on the bees. But it's a little harder on your wallet because the hives are much more expensive than the Langstroth hives. But when you add the amount of labor involved that you're saving and the other auxiliary equipment that you have a need of doing it the other way, maybe it balances out. I don't know. So this is what I wanted to do. I just want to spend a little bit of time getting you to think about how, if you decide to raise bees and become a backyard beekeeper, how you are going to do it. Everybody's different. Everyone's time commitment is different. Your area, space, like we literally have ours in our backyard and it works out great. There are beekeepers that have hives on top of their buildings in urban areas. So everyone has a different situation. I think what I'm trying to pass on is make sure you do a lot of research and be prepared. Okay? That bucket came across as an idea after the fact. I was out there and I needed a tool that I didn't bring out with me. So I'm in my bee suit and I have bees flying all over the place and I had to go inside to get a tool. And it was a pain. So try not to learn from mistakes, try to learn from other people's experience. And that's where YouTube can be very useful. There are people on YouTube that have very, very good channels. They deal with good information, good suggestions, and there are some people out there who, let's just say they don't follow the norm, and you can get caught up in people like that and end up having more of a problem. So do some research, read. No one reads anymore. Read, get some good books. Beekeeping for Dummies is an excellent book. Everyone makes fun of the title of these books, but it really is. It goes from A to Z, covers everything, and it's very, very helpful. So again, please, if you like what you've seen so far, subscribe to the channel, hit like, please send me comments. Anything that you'd like to see, any questions you may have that I might be able to answer or find the answer for, I'm more than happy to do it, and I hope to see you all real soon on the next video. I have one coming up on pollinators. We're going to be talking about preparing your property, making a good home for your bees, and having some flowers and plants near your hives that will attract the bees and make things a little bit easier on them. So until next time, have a great night.